Hello and welcome to the Mysticast, where you join Jack Stafford, a student of metaphysics and member of the Aetherius Society, the cosmic religion for the Aquarian Age, as we break down the barriers between religion, science, metaphysics, philosophy, and mysticism, all of which are really only aspects of the selfsame quest for truth. Please note, this is an independent program, not produced or fact-checked by the Aetherius Society. Today, our guest is Daniel Joseph. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Jack. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I heard about you. I'm always I have my ears tuned for interesting guests and possible subjects to talk about. And one of my earlier guests, Bertrand, I'm saying it wrong. One of my earlier guests gave me a strong recommendation, Bertolt Kainer, and he said that you will be a very interesting person to talk to. So we're going to discuss the difference between, or the similarities between, your beliefs in the researchers of truth and the Aetherius Society, which is my chosen path. So maybe you could just kick things off, give a little introduction, as I'm sure you've done many times, to the researchers of truth.
Well, who is a researcher of truth? Well, our system started about 2,000 years ago. It has been evolving. Can't say evolving, but it's been increasing in the knowledge it brings forward over those periods. However, it's been really a secret thing. It's been spoken, not written down, not publicly presented until Daskalos, Stylianos Atteshlis, came in. And he came in, and when he was 7, his principal in the school realized this was not an ordinary kid. There's something going on with this kid. So he pulled him into his office and brought university professors around. And remember, this kid's 7 years old. His feet aren't even touching the ground when he's sitting in the chair. And they started questioning him. They started asking him questions of all kinds of questions, different languages. He would answer in the language they asked him. And so one of them, Latin professor, wanted him to translate the Latin, speak a little bit of the Bible, but translate it into Greek. So he did it. And so he started doing this, and these guys got really excited. So they formed a circle around him, and these college professors, he would come every Friday night and speak to them. They would ask all kinds of questions. So really, the modern day version of it may have started 2,000 years ago, but it wasn't released to the public until Daskalos came along. And what he did is systemize all of that knowledge and put it in a system that we all can just practice. It's not really a religion. It's something, it's not an organization. It's just a system he presented that anyone can use to find the truth of anything, material things, spiritual things, anything. So this is what he presented. But really, if you think about it, the first researcher of truth had to be the first caveman that looked up in the sky and said, "Where am I?" Or he saw his reflection in the water. "Who am I?" That's where the research of truth really began.
I was going to make a facetious comment about ChatGPT, because now we can ask that in any language for all this knowledge, and the AI is coming online. But you're talking about a super brain. Did you meet him?
Did I meet him? Yes. I first met him in 1989, somewhat accidentally. Somebody took me there. I didn't know anything about him. Nobody knew anything about him in America, but we went to Cyprus, and man, it just set me on fire. So every 3 months I would come back, and then he passed over in 1995. So yeah, I spent a lot of time with him, but he's not gone. He didn't really go anywhere. He speaks to you, he guides you. Not just me, just anybody else who's working in the system, he helps.
So I see. I talk about the Essene meditation you talk about on your website. Is he from the Essenes? Is it in that tradition, or?
Yes, he was back, 2,000 years ago. So he knows it very well. So
is he an avatar, or?
No, he's not an avatar. He's an enlightened master, of course, and he's one of the group. There's a group that's sent to Earth when mankind first comes to Earth, and these guys were already self-realized. So they just help mankind. There's a bunch of them. They help mankind all through the ages. They keep reincarnating, reincarnating. And he'll always say, I will be here in this dimension, in the worlds of existence until the last person becomes self-realized.
Mm.
It's very much like a bodhisattva vow, but it's not really a vow. It's its mission. So he stays here and helps others reach their attainment.
Because maybe we should talk about our teachings for a minute. We believe that we came from the planet Maldek, which is now the asteroid belt, which we destroyed. The karma of humanity meant that we had to reincarnate on another world to continue our evolution. Adamic man was here before. These were, much more elevated beings than us. And these realms, these physical realms had to be created these classrooms had to be created. And we've been evolving through the civilizations of Lemuria and Atlantis. So, you're talking 18 million years on this earth. So does that tie in with your teachings?
He says the very same thing about that planet and about the incarnations coming here. What he said when they blew the planet up, they didn't, of course, there's the material side, the psychical side, noetical side, mental. And when the planet blew up, the people had to live in the psychical counterpart of what was the planet for a long time until there was another habitable planet ready for them. And then they came into ours when it was ready.
Really? Wow, that's all the bulbs are lighting up over here. That's brilliant, because it's not something I hear very often when So where does he fit? Where does his lineage fit in this? Is he a Adamic man, or is he an adept, or is he another?
It's a different thing altogether.
Okay.
The way the system works is when a planet becomes self-realized, everybody on the planet becomes self-realized, and they do certain work as self-realized, then they're sent out in groups of 72. This is in the Bible. Christ sends, they say 70 now, but originally it was 72 in the old Bibles. He sent out a group of 72 to all the cities. Well, of course, in that time period, they couldn't do that. That was like a metaphor to the fact that once the planet becomes self-realized, we have other missions. And so we're sent out to help other planets become self-realized. So he's one of those guys who's come to this planet and he keeps reincarnating. And they're always, all these guys, they're like the big way showers, These are the guys who just like almost take humanity on their back and carry it forward.
But is it from this solar system or from another solar system?
That part, I don't know if it's from another solar system. I get a feeling it's from another solar system, but I can't say for sure. He never mentioned that part.
Okay, well, just tell you a bit more about our teachings. Maybe that resonates, kicks you off on something else. So we believe that all the great avatars like Master Jesus, the Buddha, Sri Krishna, they were incarnated from other planets in our solar system to with a mission. So they had to be born through the womb of a woman. They weren't doing the repeat reincarnating cycles, but just this one time, just to come on. So the Master Jesus had to die at a specific time to avert a disaster for humanity that would have set us back 7,000 years approximately. And they all come with these missions. And our master, Dr. George King, he's the master for the Aquarian age. The Jesus was the master for the Piscean age. And so, the master came in for one cycle. It's not like a repeat wash. So, but the Lord Babaji, who is the spiritual hierarchy of Earth, he's been here in the same physical body for many millions, many millennia. Does that tie in with anything of yours? Or?
He doesn't really speak about Babaji or anything like that, or the avatars. He speaks about these ascended masters who just keep returning. And this Research is the Truth used to be called the White Brotherhood, but they changed the name.
Ah, right. Okay.
There was White Brotherhood started suing each other and stuff. So the master said, we can't be part of this. We have to change the name and start it kind of afresh. So, it's different than what you're talking about, but there's so much going on.
Well, there's this.
We don't know.
It's packed up there, isn't it? I mean, down here we look out and we see nothing because it's at different frequencies of vibration. The electromagnetic spectrum are different frequencies. That's why our realms, on Earth, you know, we have we believe each chakra is a realm of consciousness. And so when you die, you go to a different realm of existence right here, but it's just at a different frequency.
That's right. That's same with us. You know?
Great. And so we still believe the ascended masters, so they've gone through enlightenment, cosmic consciousness, and ascension. So they are terrestrials, but when you've achieved ascension, you're passing a huge exam. We're told in the Nine Freedoms, this text that was channeled through our master. It's called the Nine Freedoms. It gives us so the first freedoms are bravery, love, and service. This which gets us going, and then enlightenment, cosmic consciousness, then ascension. Then you can choose to stay in the spiritual hierarchy of Earth, which was the Great White Brotherhood, in service on this planet, or you go into the incarnatory cycles of other worlds, Mars, Venus, and eventually the eighth freedom is Saturnian existence, because Saturn is the most evolved planet in our solar system. And then you become a 40-foot ovoid, which can split your consciousness in 1,980 different parts and create beings or on other worlds. And then the ninth freedom is solar existence. So there is this kind of we've been given this spiritual evolutionary path.
Yeah, very similar in ours. Once the group goes out and helps other planets become self-realized, then they receive a freedom. They receive the what we call in Christianity theosis, which means one with God. But they don't stop there. They come back out and they become the logos of a planet, like the planetary logos of Earth, then the solar logos, and then the galactic logos, and then they go back into God. The thing is so vast, it's so long, it's just unbelievable. It's inconceivable, maybe I should say.
That really ties in with our teachings, yeah, because after the ninth freedom, we've only been given these 9. So afterwards, millions and millions of lives, beings amalgamate into greater beings to form the logos of a planet, then the logos of a sun, and then the galaxies, we're told, is a living being that breathes, that meditates. So even a galaxy cannot go back to God, but it has not transmuted matter. So you have super galaxy clusters, and eventually it's not as if, I came from the Buddhist background, and I thought that, you get ascension, it's back to nirvana, it's back to the source. But unfortunately,
well, what it's like is like, a lot of people, I think, especially maybe in the East, think about, oh, we got to get out of here. This is suffering. This is horrible. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But when you evolve that high, when you can get out of here, let's say, in theory, you don't ever want to, because you realize that everybody's us.
Yeah. And
it's like, I don't want to leave a burning house and leave my children in the house. You run back in the house to help.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, they don't, the sun gives service 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's the example, and we're told that in the second freedom, there is wonderful a description of service, and how we go back into serve, and sorry, it's the third freedom, but service is we've been brought into line with these teachings. We're brought into line with life on all the other worlds, because there had to be I think, to get basic man to do the practices and to go into a cave for 60 years. Yeah, there was this kind of selfish aspect that you will enlighten, you'll get me mine.
Right.
No. So, but now it's karma yoga is the yoga of the age. This is the age of service.
Mm-hmm.
So,
same with us, which, that's the most important thing. And when you do that, what you're doing is like purifying yourself. You're taking down your egotism for the service of others. You aren't the main important thing anymore. It's the whole process. Everybody's part of it. So you want to give them, because once you get totally self-realized, your karma's done. Yeah. So you come back and you put a little bit of everybody else's karma on when you help them.
Yeah. It's beautiful when you think about it. I mean, it's obvious as well. Yeah, it's wonderful speaking to you. I feel like I really met a kindred spirit.
Well, Daskalos was the one. When you met him, it was just like, he knew everything. He when you were with him, you were having like three conversations. One, you were asking questions and he was answering with his voice. And then you had thoughts in your mind and he would answer those. In the beginning, you didn't quite understand, but after a while, you realize he knows everything you're thinking. And then at the third level, he was just speaking to your soul. Maybe he didn't even say words, but there was just this vibration that connected you to the soul.
Wow. So is the group much bigger still in Greece?
His daughter took it over and she has online seminars, but there's no real circles in Greece right now. There's some in, Europe, and, we do ours here, and but it stayed relative. It's never expanded, became some big organization. He didn't want that. He tried to stay anonymous his whole life. And it wasn't until the last few years that he came out, and all the people in Europe and Switzerland started coming to him. And I was one of the only people from America. There was some, but I only usually saw Germans and Swiss people there.
Yeah.
So, but you can imagine the other thing he would do. He could tell you what you did, what you said to somebody, not only that day, the day before, years before, even in a previous lifetime. He would speak to me in foreign languages from another lifetime and say, do you know what I said? And he somehow did. I mean, I can't tell you how I did, but it's like I knew it. And when he asked the question and when he told me what the words meant, that was what I had come up in my mind, or with inspiration or intuition, I should say.
Wow.
So you can imagine I got so excited about all this, and it was just like, it just blew me away. So I come back and I start a circle here in Indiana, and we do circles for a while. And then I just took it to the internet because you could reach more people on the internet. And then, we just started doing seminars in 2010. It's grown very well. Another lady who studied Daskalos teaching joined me. We married. She handles the meditation side of the teachings, and I focus on the teachings themselves. And what I've found that when people come and hear this, they really hear this, they feel like they already knew it. And that's because all of this knowledge is already within us. Too many spiritual systems give us the idea that we gotta find it and get it. It's in us. We have to unfold it. I think it's a better way to think about this whole process. We already are. That's why they call it self-realization. It's not gaining something; it's realizing something's already here.
So did he have a book or a tenet of teachings? I mean, did it boil down into some core practices or?
Sure. Everybody all through his life, from age 7 years on, he never stopped. He was healing people at age 7. And I saw this one lady when we were there that was crippled for 20 years, and he just asked her to stand, and she stood, and he said, dance, and she started dancing. She had polio crutches. She couldn't even turn over in bed. So people say, whoa, you got to write this down, right? You got to make a book. So he made a book, and he handed it to students. The students look at it. Oh, this is too complicated. So he writes another, he tries to make it simpler. They say, it's still complicated. But he did. He did a book called Esoteric Teachings, which is the core stuff, esoteric practices, because you need to practice it. It's not just knowledge, and that's like just collecting knowledge won't help you at all. You have to live it. And so you have to practice some of these things. So he gave this book, Esoteric Practices, on how we can develop ourselves to the level of him. However, he told us it would take centuries because it is a huge, huge thing. And then later on, he wrote some more books. They didn't get, let's see. None of the other books got published when he was alive, but he wrote them down. And he always wrote by hand. So we have all these manuscripts. And so they turned into a book called Joshua Emanuel Christ, His Life and Teachings on Earth. And if you really want to know what was going on with Christ, you have to scrape off that 2,000 years of dogma and prejudice that's put on top of Christianity and go straight for the words. Well, he did that. And also, through his ability to read the Akashic records, he put in details that nobody knows. So if you're interested, I would suggest you get that book.
Yeah, I've just been reading the Essenes. I've been reading the Essenes Children of the Light, which was based on what do you call it? Past lives regression therapy, past life regression. So that was quite interesting. But yeah, is this book available on Amazon or from your website or?
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, I think I still have some copies. So it's on Amazon right now.
Okay.
And the other thing was, everybody thinks Jesus was a Jew. He wasn't. He was an Essene. At this time, they had two things. The Jews were, with God revengeful, angry, jealous. But the Essenes took all that stuff away, and they just focused on the loving, merciful God, just like Christ was teaching. So we don't understand, the history doesn't understand the Essenes very well yet. But he was an Essene. He was born into a Essene community because in Nazareth, it was like a third of the people were Essenes and 2/3 were Jewish.
Well, he was born in England, according to Dr. King and to the Essenes. Yeah.
You're saying Jesus was born in England?
Yeah, yeah. Because it's really well described in this book from the Essenes because Joseph was a trader he was actually the richest man in the world at the time because he traded the material for copper. And so he wasn't just a nobody, he was born into Mary's brother. And so he went back and forth to England many times. And I think for karmic reasons that Jesus had to be born with the minimum amount of karma because he had to perform this mission. So they prepare the family for hundreds of years before for these cosmic births. So, and the Star of Bethlehem was a UFO, so there's a lot of UFOlogy in the Bible. And so the Aetherius Society is as a cosmic religion. So, is there also UFOlogy in your teachings?
Oh, he knows more about that than he says. There's like 40 different groups coming from different systems and places. And he said he was in contact with most of them. And he tells you exactly how it works. They don't fly here in spaceships, and you say, oh my gosh, it's so long. It'd take 2.5 light years or whatever. These guys are masters. They're self-realized. These extraterrestrials coming here are self-realized. So they raise their vibrations up to the mental plane, come across the mental plane, and lower their vibrations, come down to Earth. That's how they get here. They don't fly in ships. Wow. And he says, they've always been coming here. They're here now. They're not that interested in individual people in general. They're interested in the planetary development of whole humanity. And they will keep coming. He says, but what happens is a lot of them, when they see what man is doing to man, it sickens them and they don't want to return. Because to them, this is the most barbaric planet, or at least maybe not the most, but certainly we're somewhat barbaric still at this point in time.
We're told
look what's going on. Look what's going on right now.
There's no go started on that. It's a nightmare. Yeah. But we're being helped, according to our teachers, we're mostly being helped by the people in our solar system because we're their brothers and sisters. So they take the main responsibility. And all the UFOs we see in the sky is just this gradual. They don't need to ship to move. They maybe need it to move cargo, but they're doing it as a light show, to make us look up. And
That's right. They're trying to raise questions in humanity, like we're not the only thing there is. We start out thinking the Earth is the center of the universe, and we're the big thing. But there's much, much more to it. So part of them showing up and zipping around and doing all that stuff in the ship is to raise questions in people's mind to see, what is this? Then they start thinking, well, these are more evolved than we are. So it just starts to open their mind up to a greater reality.
Yeah, I mean, we're even blind to our own, because when we have a life between lives, we go to the life on the astral plane or the etheric plane. We're all, I don't remember my life between the lives, not even forget the past life, but the last life on the astral plane. I can't even remember the astral plane where I spend half of my existence on the earth, if it equates to, time. So it's, we're really blind and stumbling in the dark.
Yeah, what the astral plane, he's called the astral plane, Daskalo is called the psychical plane. It's the fourth dimension. And then the mental plane that the Hindus call it, he called it noetic because noetic is a word comes from the word mind in Greek. And that's the fifth dimension. So
Okay.
we're constantly cycling. After we end the astral plane, psychical plane, there's a time when we leave it and we go into the higher mental plane. And then eventually we come back down and incarnate, and we just keep doing this over and over until we've reached perfection, which is self-realization, cosmic consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, that really ties in. I mean, so we have these 7 bodies, the astral body, the mental body, the etheric body, and when you die, it's just like they say, it's like going upstairs, coming downstairs. Being reborn is coming downstairs, going upstairs. So it's, and
Exactly.
if you're a drug addict in this life, you can damage your body, your astral body as well. So you can suffer in the lower astral realm. The damage does happen to the the aura is filled with sankaras, isn't it? I mean, we store our experiences on this little sack we're carrying around. So they do say that. I'm a bit confused with the 4D and the 5D thing, because in the society we say that we're told that we exist in 7 dimensions. So length, breadth, and height.
That's right. I just mentioned the 2 common ones that we cycle through.
Oh, okay.
You finally, at the end of the mental lifetime, it's the same lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You're still Jack in the psychical plane. You're still Jack in the mental plane, and then you go to the 7th plane and kind of reboot and come back down with a brand new personality in a new incarnation.
Yeah, we're told about the halls of judgment on Saturn, where we ourselves judge our lower selves and decide our rebirth. We choose our parents.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, nobody judges us. We judge ourselves, and we choose what's best for us, not as punishment, but as a way to keep learning.
Yeah, when somebody mentioned Judgment Day, like in the Bible, he said that's nonsense. Every day is Judgment Day, because whatever you do, there's something coming from it. There's a consequence. And when you go back out and you look back down, like you're talking about, you reevaluate how well you did and what you still need to work on, all that. And he put so much detail in the astral plane. He said it's comprised of 7 subplanes, or 7 planes, lower to higher. Yeah. And within each of these subplanes is 7, with each of these planes is 7 subplanes in just a massive amount of localities. And if you were to compare Earth to this, it would be like a spot on your wall. We think Earth is so big, and it is, relatively, but this, is so much greater.
And it's right here. It fits. It's right here. Just a different frequency.
Right. It's the etheric that connects these worlds together.
Yeah.
So just like we have an etheric counterpart, right? The world has an etheric, Earth has an etheric counterpart, and it connects to this astral plane when we use those words. And that has a psychic etheric counterpart that connects to the mental plane. So it's like nesting dolls, sort of, the way they're not only interconnected, they're also interdispersed. So it's exactly right here. Every atom of your body has a psychical counterpart. Now, it's not material. It's
material, but at a different frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get ready to say. Yeah. It's all about frequencies, right?
Yeah. So each chakra is a realm of consciousness. We said there's 7 above including the root chakra, and then there's also three lower realms as well, with the hells. So heaven and hell is right here as well. And
absolutely,
you go to the realm of just desserts. You go to where you, not as punishment, but you go to, if you're a sex maniac, you get to keep having sex, and or if you're a violent person, you can still experience violence until you've burnt enough of you've had enough of it, and then you can be reborn and get to start again. So yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, this has been a real thrill to connect with. I'm really glad that Berthold, I have his book here as well. He wrote this book about with practices that he takes. So he nice. also met a master, like a realized. I don't know if he was fully realized, but where are the other 71 masters? And are they? Is your master now?
They're here. They're here, but they're working with. They're not all physically incarnated, but they're here in the worlds of existence in these other higher dimensions, and they keep incarnating. For example, he didn't. I know one other one, Master Valerian, who was living in Syria at the time Daskalos was. But the others, I think you can think like Dalai Lama, right? Mm-hmm. He keeps coming back and doing the same thing to help the people. So I think it's people out there that are just really great way showers, and they're always coming, always coming.
And so is he on the astral plane now, or the etheric plane? Is he having a cycle there, and then he will be reborn again?
Yeah, he was so amazing. He could reincarnate every 2 years because he didn't have to work. Like he didn't have to go back and evaluate. He was doing that here. So he would come, and sometimes he took thousands of years, but it's not just set like Steiner said, like 40 years or whatever, 80 years. It depends on the individual. And when you reach self-realization, you don't have to spend that much time in the other plane. However, after this time, he decided to, because he's working in now a state called superconsciousness. So he can work with anybody, anywhere on planet easily. On Earth, you had to go to him or something like that, which was not easy at that time. So it's just such a vast thing. We have.
So are you still able to telepathic rapport with him? Are you still able to?
Oh yeah. And he the one thing about him, you see him, he's so big and plural. If you've seen a video of him?
No.
We have a YouTube channel. There's some videos on that. Researchers, sure. But he's, master, right?
Yeah.
But when you were with him privately, he could get you to laugh so hard. He just looked like an ordinary old grandfather, but he'd get you laughing. Your jaws would ache. He would get you laughing so hard. And he had the best wit of anybody, So he's always making these little quips. Oftentimes I hear him make little jokes about me, but most of the time he's trying to help me see something. And sometimes he brings me over and we have time together in that world. So
really, so astral projection, you mean?
Yeah. He taught exomososis. That's a Greek word for out of body experience. It's conscious out of body experiences. We all have an out of body experience every night when we go to sleep, but it's the subconscious one. You don't remember what's happened so much, but when you do it consciously, you can remember the details. They call it lucid dreaming, of course.
Can you ask him about the Aetherius Society? And
say again?
Can you, next time you see him, can you ask him about the work of the Aetherius Society?
Yes, I would.
Yeah,
I don't know if he'll reply. He doesn't like to talk about other people. He in other systems, when people would ask him about it, he wouldn't reply so much.
Yeah, that's really interesting because.
But what he did say was, his love and respect for any system who sincerely tried to approach the truth. He had great respect for any system that was trying to reach the truth.
Well, that's what the Master Aetherius said, who communicated through Dr. King. He said, if you're a Christian, be the best Christian. If you're a Buddhist, be the best Buddhist, because these are cosmic teachings. All of the great religions they're perfect in their original simplicity. They've been distorted throughout the ages. I mean, reincarnation was taken out of Christianity for, they've been manipulated, or just one example. But if you take the words of Jesus at the very core of it and be the best Christian, I mean, there's no Christian country in the world, is there? No true Christian country.
He used to say, to be a good Christian is the same thing to be a good Buddhist or to be a good Hindu. So I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian. Everything. He acknowledged the truth in all sincere religion. In systems, not all of them became religion, some of them became systems.
So when you travel to the astral plane, I've asked many people, they don't like to talk about it, or, I mean, is it just as physical as here? There's cities and cars and.
Well, it looks just like this, only much, much brighter, because here the sun or external light has to hit us to see it, right? Otherwise it's dark, you can't see it. But on these higher planes, every particle of substance is self-illuminated. So the colors, bigger, brighter, better, different than we even see here. Sounds, the same thing. It's just a much more alive world. Earth is as dead as we will ever get.
The
when we die,
plane.
We go into life.
Right.
I think Christ said that whoever dies passes from death to life.
Yeah.
Because it's much more. Cool.
That's beautiful when you explain it like that. What they, because Christ said the kingdom of heaven is within. It's. But when you understand it from reading, from about the Essenes and what he meant, it's much more than, or going to heaven for eternity. It gives a whole new light to the teachings of Christianity. when I read, when I know I'm more familiar with, now I'm more familiar with the metaphysics, you know, and the Aetherius Society. When I read, you know, other spiritual texts, I'm able to understand a lot more.
Yeah, he taught this. This is one thing he taught about how to help the students know the difference between the two planes. So you would go out of your body and go to the psychical plane or astral plane, and with him, and he would say, "Move the chair." And you take the chair and you'd move it. But he could bring you back down into the etheric counterpart of the earth. He says, "Move the chair," and your hand goes right through it.
Mm.
So I've been in the etheric counterpart of Earth, and just walk right through a wall. There's no obstacle. You don't even feel it. You just go right through it. So it's big.
So, well, I need to read more about this, and I like to come in with not doing too much research, because I like to record the surprise, you know, when you tell me things. And so, but now I'm really keen, and you've got me. So how do I proceed to study your teachings and learn more about?
Well, we have a couple of websites. One of them is researchersoftruth.org, which is sort of an archive website full of his teachings on various subjects. Then we have researchersoftruth.com. We have a YouTube channel, Researchers of Truth, and I think the guys are putting something on Instagram as well. Yeah, and we have a Patreon channel. We have a thing, and we give very dedicated, systematic lessons. And my wife, Aki, she gives the meditations. So if you really want to practice it, there's a Patreon channel that will guide you through all this. And it's very deep, but it's also kind of simple in a way. It's just about the whole point is become a better person.
Yeah.
It's not
easy.
If they acknowledge, it's just a more loving, more kind, more wise person.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, if you do that, you're moving very well in the spiritual one.
Yeah, yeah. But looking at your website, I did look at it, but it's very difficult in a website because you bounce around. And is there a book you'd recommend?
Well, all of his, of course, and I've written 4. And what I've tried to do, people came to me when, after being with him, I tried bringing this out because it just set me on fire, and you got to share it, right? And they said, well, you got to make it simpler. So I wrote a series called Swimming with the Whale. The first one's called Swimming with the Whale. And I try to break down the basics. And then the next one, it's called Watching the Whale, but I explain his practices, because you have to learn how to practice this stuff for it to really lift you. And then the next one was Diving with the Whale. So it's more deeper teachings. And finally, I just completed the last one, You Are the Whale, because the whole point of what we're seeing in these mensers, it's us. It's just us in the future. And when you see somebody like that, just think about that. That's me in the future. Or when you see someone really low and suffering, you think, that could have been me in the past.
Yeah.
So there's no need to judge. We're just all in the same process, continuation.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear, even just talking about men like your master and my master, it raises your consciousness. No, it makes you be a better person just because you think, what would they do? And
yeah. They have shown us the example. And could you send me a email with your book you just held up?
Sure, yeah.
That's yours.
Yeah, The 9 Freedoms. I mean,
I'd like to get that one.
Yeah, because Dr. King, I mean, he wasn't like, he was more in disguise, let's put it that way. He did healing, but he didn't go around, speaking, all the different languages and things like that. He was more of like a Jedi. He projected into the lower astral realms, and his mission was to transmute the lowest aspects of humanity, which were going to take control. There had to be somebody born in a human body to go down there and in hand-to-hand combat and take on the darkest aspects of our. So he in the the Armageddon, the apocalypse, or whatever it was that was predicted happened, but on Earth, but in the lower astral realms. And our master was adept number 1. So that's he was like a Jedi, yeah. So he was that was his mission. And
very nice.
Yeah, so this Operation Carmelite, he worked with the Lord Babaji as well, and that was his mission. But the teachings alone are because he he went into samadhic trance, so he could raise Kundalini. He did 10 years of yoga practices in England in the 1950s, and he could raise Kundalini, eventually could raise Kundalini all the way up Shushumna, and they'd go into a samadhic state. And then the cause, because you get with mediumship, you get people on your level, and so he could channel the cosmic masters, and they could use his voice box. And so we have on over 600 transmissions, including the 9 freedoms, and also the Master Jesus channeled the 12 blessings, which is an update on his Sermon on the Mount, the cosmic aspect. So we have a real cosmic religion for the future, thanks to all the work done by Dr. King.
Right. Very nice.
Yeah.
It's like Christ said, the harvest is great, but the workers are few. But over time, you get more and more workers because more and more people get self-realized. So pretty soon, the whole plan starts to accelerate really fast.
Yeah.
Right now, there's only about, I don't know, they say 2 or 3 self-realized people every 25 years or something. So
Is that
it'll
the
take
number?
a while. That's what it says in our teaching.
I would have thought it'd be even less than that. I mean, it's so to be fully.
Yeah. Well, like Daskalos said, in our system, there's always 7 masters of the White Brotherhood, if you will, or researchers of the truth on Earth. 4 of them never show themselves. Only 3 of them come out. And in our time, it was Valerian and Daskalos, but I don't know the third that came out. But not all of them's job is to reach the public.
Yeah.
I know we're running out of time. I better stop talking.
And do you know about the Ancient of Days in the Bible, which show with the Lord? I forgot this. My mind's just gone blank. But they built the Shambhala. They came from Saturn, and they built the city of Shambhala above the Gobi Desert, and the Senate Kumar.
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah. So these are all
he's not spoken of it, but I've heard of that.
Yeah. There's all these layers, a hierarchy, I guess. So yeah, there's wonderful. Well, I think we should talk again once I'm a bit more informed about your teaching, because it sounds like we have so many overlaps, and I'll send you the link for this book. Yeah.
Great. Well, I really appreciate it, Jack.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. And thanks, Bertolt, for fixing us up. And let's all move towards the light.
Many blessings.
Many blessings. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.